Imagine spending $12,000 upgrading your home, only to discover that your neighbor paid thousands less for almost the exact same project. Not because they negotiated harder, not because they found a cheaper contractor, but because they understood a government program that most homeowners have never even heard of. What's even stranger, the money wasn't hidden, it wasn't secret. In many cases, it was publicly available. Yet millions of Americans either don't qualify, don't know it exists, or assume it's too good to be true. That's how thousands of dollars are quietly left on the table. The number you keep hearing is $14,000. It sounds like a marketing slogan, almost like one of those internet ads promising free money. But unlike those ads, this number actually comes from a real federal rebate program. The catch? Almost nobody explains what that number really means, because the government isn't writing every homeowner a $14,000 check. And that's where the misunderstanding begins. Let's rewind. Imagine your heating system is 20 years old. Your electric panel is outdated. Your water heater is becoming unreliable. Every month, your utility bills creep a little higher. You know upgrades could save money in the long run, but replacing everything at once feels impossible. That's exactly the problem these rebate programs were designed to solve, not by making home improvements free, but by reducing the upfront cost for qualifying households. Think of it like a discount that can apply before you even finish paying for the project. Instead of waiting until tax season, certain qualifying rebates can reduce what you owe at the point of sale or shortly afterward, depending on how your state administers the program. Now here's where the famous $14,000 number comes from. It's the maximum lifetime rebate available under the Federal Home Electrification and Appliance Rebate Program, for households that meet the program's eligibility rules. But that doesn't mean every homeowner receives $14,000. In reality, that number is a ceiling, a cap, and reaching it requires qualifying upgrades that fall into specific categories, while also meeting income requirements and your state's implementation rules. Imagine walking into a grocery store with a coupon that says, "Save up to $100. You don't automatically receive $100. You only receive discounts on eligible purchases. The rebate program works much the same way. Different upgrades have different maximum rebate amounts. A heat pump can qualify for one amount. An electrical panel upgrade has another. Electrical wiring may qualify separately. Insulation and air sealing have their own limits. Heat pump water heaters, electric cooking equipment, even heat pump clothes dryers. Each category has its own maximum rebate. Together, those categories can add up to as much as $14,000 for households eligible for the highest level of assistance. Now comes the part many headlines leave out. Income matters. This isn't a universal rebate. The largest benefits are generally reserved for lower-income households. Moderate-income households may qualify for reduced rebate amounts. Higher-income households may not qualify for this particular federal rebate at all. That's why two neighbors installing similar equipment can receive very different amounts of financial assistance. Then there's another complication. Your state matters. Although the funding comes from the federal government, the programs are administered through states, territories, and tribes. That means application processes, participating contractors, available funding, and even timing can differ depending on where you live. Some states launched programs earlier, others rolled them out later. Some require approved contractors. Others have additional documentation requirements. It's one federal program, but it doesn't look exactly the same everywhere. Now let's talk about something almost nobody discusses: the difference between a rebate and a tax credit. People often treat them as the same thing. They're not. A tax credit usually reduces the taxes you owe after you file your return. A rebate generally lowers the cost of the project itself or reimburses qualifying expenses through the program. For many households, that's an important difference, because paying thousands less upfront is very different from waiting months for a tax benefit. And after federal policy changes in 2025, several popular home energy tax credits ended for projects placed in service after the deadline, making these rebate programs even more important for eligible households. But here's the biggest mistake homeowners make. They start shopping for equipment before checking whether they qualify. Imagine buying airline tickets, then discovering you could have received a large discount if you had booked through a different website. The purchase wasn't wrong. The order was. Many rebate programs require approved equipment, approved contractors, or specific application steps. Skipping those requirements can mean missing out entirely, which raises another question. Why would the government spend billions encouraging people to upgrade homes? Because energy efficiency isn't just about lowering utility bills. Efficient homes use less energy. That reduces strain on energy systems. Lower demand can reduce overall energy waste. Newer equipment can improve comfort, reduce operating costs, and in many cases, lower emissions. The rebates are designed to encourage investments that households might otherwise delay for years. Of course, not every upgrade makes financial sense. A rebate doesn't automatically make a project a good investment. If replacing perfectly functioning equipment costs far more than the long-term savings, the math may not work. The smartest homeowners don't chase rebates. They evaluate the total cost, expected energy savings, equipment lifespan, available incentives, and their own financial situation. The rebate becomes part of the decision, not the entire decision. Perhaps the biggest irony is this: the people who save the most money aren't always the ones who receive the largest rebate. They're often the ones who understand the rules before spending a single dollar. Because in personal finance, information can be worth just as much as income, and sometimes, knowing how a system works is the difference between paying full price and letting someone else help cover part of the bill. So the next time you hear someone say, "The government is giving homeowners $14,000, remember that's only part of the story. The real story is far more interesting. It's about eligibility, timing, planning, state programs, income limits, qualified equipment, and understanding a system that most people don't look into until after they've already made one of the biggest purchases for their home. Which leaves one final question: how many opportunities in your financial life aren't hidden because they're secret, but simply because nobody ever showed you how the rules actually work?